Welcome, everybody. This is episode 15 of the Super Grapple Bros podcast, a podcast with two brothers who are former WWE employees and happen to love both wrestling and video games. Video games and the wrestling. We like them both, so we talk about them both.
But not like that.
We don't use that kind of accent. I don't even know why I'm throwing this accent. I just started doing it.
I don't know.
I started doing it. Should I just do the rest of the podcast like this? Maybe I should just start doing every single podcast in a different accent. I could do Southern to start things off, and then maybe I'll slip into a little bit of Irish for another one. You know, be an advocate for Sheamus. Hey there, fella. Or maybe even Finn Balor.
Might just start leaving.
What? But it's
just
fun.
Like,
there's a little bit of role playing. There's a little bit of accents.
Reminds me of an episode of The Office just saw. Are you inching away from me? No. Reach your hand out to the table. Oh, you.
All right. Anyway, and that's shenanigans aside. I am your host, Murpho, and I am joined, as always, by
DMurph.
And this week we are going over the Great Balls of Fire pay-per-view. Goodness gracious, right?
Sure.
We are going to be reviewing that, doing our week in review, and then going into video games, where once again we have our weekly Overwatch news, along with some information on PUBG, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, huge buyout of the gaming headset company Astro, as well as some more Destiny 2 reveals and information because of the IGN first that's going on all month.
Yep. And
the imminent beta that's going to be happening on Tuesday the 18th on PlayStation, the 19th on Xbox, and then open for everybody starting the 20th.
Season 2.
But let's start off with wrestling. The wrestling with the Great Balls of Fire. And I have such a hard time saying... Let me say that I have such a hard time saying that pay-per-view name and trying to keep a straight face.
Yeah, I know.
Like, why? Why was that name chosen?
I don't know.
Anyway, we started things off. We started the night off on the pre-show with the Cruiserweight Championship match of Neville versus Akira Tozawa.
King of the Cruiserweights.
The King of the Cruiserweights versus Akira Tozawa. Both horrible. I'm on a horrible accent run right now.
Yep.
Tozawa, the latest representative of the Titus brand. The match was...
Titus Worldwide.
Oh, I'm sorry. Titus Worldwide. It's a different thing now. Anyway. It was an alright match. Neville, of course, as expected, retained.
Mm-hmm.
With the weirdest of finishes. Like, it was bad.
Yeah.
Like bad. Like, I felt embarrassed for Akira Tozawa.
Yeah, it was
bad.
like, why?
Like, the match was really good. And it was entertaining. And then it ended with Tozawa getting crotched on the ropes. Just awkwardly staying on there forever. Neville kicking the top rope to crotch him further and then pinning him for the 3 count.
Yeah, it's... Whatever.
Like, did we get transported back to the 70s? Or the 80s? Because, like, that's the last time those kinds of finishes effectively really worked on people.
No, because of the fact that in the 70s, if they even went on the top rope like that, it would have been considered disqualification.
True. Very true. But still, it's like, ugh.
Yes.
God, why would you... Why is crotching someone a finish in this day and age?
Maybe
like,
they
I
want
understand it
to,
hurts, but like they do it so many times in so many matches that
just
never
want to make someone actually have great balls of fire to match the pay-per-view.
Yeah, Tozawa did certainly have some great balls of fire.
Yep.
So yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about that match. It was a decent match, but the finish was just awful.
Yeah, it wasn't good.
As we move on to the main show, we got Enzo Amore versus Big Cass. Enzo cutting the promo of his life once again before the match.
Yep.
And then he basically was like a cattle put to slaughter.
Yeah, it reminds me of like a 10-year-old with one of those wrestle buddies that they came out with a while ago, just beating the crap out of it for fun. That's basically
we used
all
to
the
do when we were
match
kids.
Yeah,
like us versus our wrestle buddy, who was it Hollywood Hogan or Macho Man?
It was Hollywood
Hulk Hogan from the NWO. Yeah, just Big Cass just came at, like, Enzo was like, I'm gonna keep fighting, and you know, like, I might be down today, but I'll be up in the future, and if not, well then I'm just gonna keep fighting and fighting and fighting. And Big Cass was like, yeah, shut up.
Yeah, Big Cass was like, I'm going to put you 9 feet in the air and then drop you outside the ring.
Yeah, it was the glorified squash match that we expected it to be.
Yeah, I was hoping for a little bit more fight out of Enzo.
Yeah, I was hoping for some fight out of Enzo to give him, like, some credibility.
Yeah, exactly.
But, like, apparently they really just want to push Big Cass and push him hard. Because they've got him talking Universal Championship already.
Yeah, I'm
like,
surprised.
over and over and over again. So it's like... Not that Cass isn't big and intimidating. Not that I don't like Cass. Like, he's good. But he has some blemishes that Enzo covers up with his energy.
Yeah, and I think it might help Cass if he did something like change up his attire a little bit so it wasn't as just black on black on black on black on black.
Mm-hmm.
And get a better theme song, because that was just kind of weird.
Yeah.
And maybe, like, I know I used to have long hair, but maybe trim up the hair a little bit, because he looks, with the way his beard and his hair is, it looks a little trashy.
Maybe. Yeah,
just
I don't
saying,
know. Like, I'm just not...
a total revamp might do him some good.
Yeah, I think he needs like a more like better imagery, like you said, than just like the tights and the. Because like when he comes out with just the black tights and everything, and like there's nothing to his like, it just speaks bland persona to me.
Exactly.
It doesn't speak like to anything unique. Like he needs to like develop his character more. Which I mean, they're just getting started, so maybe they will. But like you would think that they would have this pre-planned.
Did you love that one shot that we had of Big Cass with his head in front of the sea?
Yeah, where the cameraman kind of like embarrassed him by improperly framing that, so he was big ass.
Yep.
Big ass.
And then Billy Gunn cried out somewhere.
Mm-hmm. And then Guy was like, "Shut up, Billy."
Oh, Billy.
So that was that. It did its job. I just feel bad for Enzo, and I hope that there are things that are going to be coming down for him later. And yes, it was pretty amusing, unstoppable about the whole big ass thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, we move on to the tag title match, which had Cesaro and Sheamus versus the Hardy Boys in 30-minute tag title Iron Man match, which I think was the best match of the night. Well,
it was a great match.
It was a great match. It was a competition for a great match of the night. I think this show overall was actually really good.
I just want to point out that I had a few issues with this show. One of them was something that was involved in this match, which was referees, because it's a matter of it's trying to be, a sports program. At least that's how, they try to pervade of like it's a sport that's going on in the ring, and there were some issues with the referees, mostly in that match and the main event.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was a lot of times where the referee was threatening to disqualify the Hardys, yet would watch Cesaro and Sheamus do the exact same thing and say nothing to them, and then there was a whole thing where it looked like there was a 3 count and just got ignored, and just a lot of really weird, wonky stuff. The match itself was great. The competitors did a great job. It's just the referee, it kind of seemed like he just had an off night, and it kind of turned me off to the match a little bit.
I never really noticed these inconsistencies that you mentioned, so it didn't really bother me none. I'm not saying they weren't there. I just didn't notice it. And I just really loved the match. I thought it was those two teams could wrestle forever, I think, because they put on a hell of a match, and it just shows that even like as they're entering their 40s, the Hardy Boys can still go.
Oh yeah,
hard for 30 minutes straight, which in this day and age is a achievement, because most matches only go between anywhere from 5 to 20 minutes.
Yeah.
In the WWE, unless you're in like the main event of a WrestleMania or something like that, you're really not going 30 minutes or more, or just in the main event in general.
Yeah. It was a good match though. I did enjoy it. I just think that was a little weird, and I feel like the ending could have been a little bit more.
I liked the ending.
I mean, it was nice, but I'm saying they could have had a little bit more like urgency in it.
Yeah. The only thing I didn't like was the pin out of just nowhere on Jeff after he hit the Swanton Bomb, and it was just a leverage pin.
Yeah.
And like it didn't really look like a leverage pin, it just like looked like a regular pin. That was kind of awkward.
Yeah.
But like aside from that, I really can't, like, I have to nitpick to really like say anything bad about the match.
No, exactly. I mean, like I said, part of the reason it bothers you so much is because I'm the kind of guy where, well, that's what you're going for. Respect the fiction. Mm-hmm. And the referee was not doing their job to be part of the fiction,
I suppose. Then we got a bit of a downer in after that with the Intercontinental Championship match of Dean Ambrose versus
The Miz and the Miztourage and Maurice.
Mm-hmm. And basically the numbers game, as we expected. The the numbers game basically became too much for Dean Ambrose. Miz was able to sneak in, get a skull-crushing finale in, and win the match.
Yeah, it wasn't that entertaining of a match.
No, it was kind of like a paint-by-numbers match based on the history that Ambrose and Miz have. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. And afterwards, I'm like, okay, it did its job. The Miz Taraj and Maurice did what they needed to do. Now, can we please move on with these two, which it seems like they're not gonna do.
Yeah, it looks like if anything, they're gonna throw another person in to make it like a triple threat
or a fatal 4-way. It seems like coming out of this, like a lot of the Raw SummerSlam matches might be fatal 4-ways.
Yeah. Yeah, it gets maximum exposure for the show, so
I guess. Then we move on to the women's championship match, Alexa Bliss versus Sasha Banks, which I loved. I think that was Alexa Bliss's best match to date.
That's one of the things I had an issue with. It was a great match. I was legitimately terrified when that whole thing with her faking with her double jointed arm happened.
Oh yeah,
I just saw that.
Is that real?
I literally just,
is
no,
is that real?
Oh no,
is that real? That can't be real. Like that just caused huge problems.
Thank you, Ryback. Had a job interview today, so
you're complimenting your suit. And I forgot that I have a phone up here now. I should probably unplug that whenever we do the podcast from this point forward.
Whatever.
Totally forgot that I have a phone up here. Anyway, great match, and apparently a couple people on Twitter wanted to point it out that I was like, they couldn't believe that I hadn't seen the fact that like apparently back around WrestleMania time she did that in a match on SmackDown against Becky Lynch. That was the first time, and I'm like, forgive me for not remembering like every single spot from every single match, or missing.
I can vaguely remember what they're talking about, but it was not as. It didn't look as bad as it did during that match.
And
I remember seeing that. I was like,
did it with her right arm. She did it with her right arm in that one because I saw that. I watched the clip back. She did it with her right arm back in that one, and she did it with her left arm here.
Yeah, it's a matter of in that match. It was did she hurt herself as opposed to this match where it was oh my god she hurt herself.
Yeah, with this match she like really oversold that and was really like, oh my god, my arm, and like pointing to the ref and being like, look at my arm, ref, look at my arm.
And the referee just standing there like, I don't know what to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, whereas I think with SmackDown she held it was disjointed, and like I think Becky Lynch was like slowly going up to her like to see if things were okay, and then she attacked. I don't know. I just feel like this spot was a lot better. I don't remember that spot that much, and forgive me for being a bad fan for not like remembering every single spot from every single match from every single show.
We're not freaking supercomputers here. We're human beings.
Yeah, we don't have super encyclopedic knowledge of the WWE in every single part of every single match. So
just remember, guys, nobody's perfect.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah, exactly, Big Stupid. We have to remember everything that ever happened in wrestling, ever. Like, we have to remember that one spot in that Ric Flair match in 1970 where he wrestled that guy at that place with that thing at the Sportatorium and stuff.
I remember the fact that there's a wrestler known as Dwayne Gill, or as people might better know him now, Gilbert, who has faced Undertaker in 3 different eras of his career.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, back to let's not get too sidetracked. Again, match was great. A lot of people didn't like the ending, but I kind of liked it.
It was kind of
like
Bliss, I could see why people wouldn't like it.
Well, Bliss was getting her ass kicked and was like just looking at it. It's like, well, damn, Sasha's got my number. She's kicking my ass, and she's been on a roll. I don't think I'm gonna win this. I'm just gonna let myself, and I'm already on the outside. I'm just gonna let myself get counted out.
I like
I'm gonna
that
keep
stuff
the championship
because it's champion's advantage.
And
it's not the job of a champion to beat you. It is your job to beat the champion. That's why I like that. If you want to be the champion, you gotta beat the champion. You want to be the man, you gotta beat the man.
Yeah, and
you want to be the woman, you gotta beat the woman. In this case.
And that's in Bliss's character. Like, Bliss is cocky and arrogant, and she'll back it up. But this is a character. This was a moment where she was like, I might not be able to back it up. And in that situation, she is the type of character who will just be like, I will take the disqualification and I will leave, because what matters to me is having the championship. And to her and her character, having that championship is validation of everything that she says.
Yeah.
So she doesn't want to lose it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I love stuff like that because it makes sense. If you're the champion and you can retain the championship that way, why wouldn't you do it?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it doesn't make like, oh, you know what? I could go in the ring and lose this championship, or I could just stay here and keep it. I think I'm going to go back. No, you're not going to do that. You're going to go, well, I only have to wait 3 seconds. And then I could just walk out of here the same as I walked in here with that title over my shoulder. Mm-hmm. I like stuff like that because it makes no sense to do that. But
Well, the thing is that, if you watch the match, the way that the look that Bliss is giving Banks is it looks like she's pissed off and wants to go back in there. And Sasha is just sitting there just waiting for her to run in because, traditionally in those situations, a lot of the times people will just run in at the last second. So I think Banks was just sitting there waiting for her to come back in, and she's like, come on. And then by the time the count got to 9, it was kind of like too late for her to go in and get her.
Yeah.
I think by the time Banks realized Bliss wasn't going to come back in, it was too late. Mm. And I don't think that's a lapse in her character. I think that's more of a thing of we've seen traditionally in both men and women's wrestling, the person will be sitting there leaning up against the barricade as everything counts down, and if they're staring there, they will dive back in. Normally, when they want to get counted out, they will just be like, screw it, and walk away. They won't stay.
The Usos did.
Yeah, exactly. They won't stay stationary, just looking there as they get counted out. So it was kind of like a fake out there.
Yeah.
For Alexa Bliss. So I didn't really have a problem with it. Anyway, we move on to what also might be what is arguably also the best match of the night, which is Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman in the ambulance match. Those two beat the hell out of each other.
Yeah, I was not a huge fan of how they did them. Of what they did after the match.
Oh, I liked what they did after the match.
But
let's talk about the match itself first.
I'll explain more when we get to that. But it was a good match. I enjoyed it. I loved. One of my favorite parts was Roman Reigns hitting Strowman with a chair and him just,
you what, mate?
What did you do? Did you just try that? And Roman keep trying to hit him with the chair and him just blocking it and being like, no.
Nah, bro.
I loved it. Nah, bro. And then Strowman getting thrown through the screen and just, I love the match.
Mm-hmm.
It was really good. I love the way they worked it. And just fighting pretty much anywhere they could. I
think this might have been the best selling Reigns has had in a long time, if not his career. He was getting tossed around like a rag doll, and he was getting thrown around and things. And the way he was selling the pain and just rag doll bumping things was amazing.
And it made Strowman look like a monster,
mm-hmm.
which he is.
A lot of people like to rag on Roman Reigns and say Roman Reigns sucks. Roman is actually a really good wrestler. The only problem is that he's got the John Cena complex of John Cena from 10, 12, 13 years ago where Cena was winning all the time and it felt like he was being shoved down our throats.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that Cena wasn't a good wrestler then or not that Roman's a good wrestler now. The problem is that it's okay, Roman got his turn. Or now I want to see somebody else get their turn. Or okay, we want to see this guy get their turn first because I think this guy is better than Roman, but we just keep getting Roman.
Yeah.
It's not that Roman's bad. It's just when you get fed Roman over and over and over again,
yeah, you can only eat ramen so many nights in a row kind of deal.
Exactly. And I think that's the only problem that I've had with Roman over the years, and that's more of a booking thing. That's not a Roman Reigns the wrestler thing.
Exactly. Roman is good in the ring, and one thing that Chris Jericho has pointed out is the only time I've ever heard a reaction that I did when Roman Reigns came out to face me in a match is when John Cena would come out to face me in a match. Roman Reigns is the only person who gets the same response as John Cena, and it is deafening.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because he's kind of good.
Yeah,
he's good at what he does.
People love to hate him because of the perceived push on him.
Yeah, whatever. Though.
But that doesn't mean that he sucks. He's a good wrestler, and he showed it at Great Balls of Fire.
Yeah,
he put on a classic with Braun Strowman, one of the best matches of the year, and his selling was on point.
Yeah,
it was amazing.
It was a good match all around.
And I like how we got swerved and faked out because what we thought was going to be the finish was Roman spearing Braun into the ambulance, and instead Braun sideswiped him. And actually, honestly, also another thing to compliment Roman on. I know I'm on a high Roman thing right now, but props to him for just completely going 100% into that dive.
Yeah.
Like, he went 100%. Like, he could have been like, and like his legs could have hit and he could have like stumbled and just barely gone in. But no, he dove full on and just flew.
Yeah.
Full head of steam into that ambulance.
Although I do want to point out there is one thing that they've changed in years since they first introduced the ambulance match to now, which bothers me a little bit because if they kept it the way it originally was when they first did the ambulance match, I would have won. And that is, originally it was you have to put your opponent in the ambulance and have it drive away. And Roman was put in the ambulance and it didn't drive away. And then Braun was put in the ambulance and it drove away. So by the original rules of the ambulance match, Reigns would have won. But I am perfectly fine with Strowman winning and it being this way because the rules have changed. The official rules have changed.
Well, the rules have changed for a while ago because as long as I remember, it's just close the doors and you win. Like, I think it was, like, maybe back in the Attitude Era when the first couple ambulance matches
that's what I said.
happened.
When it first came about, that's what it was, but it has changed since then.
Yeah, is why it's been these rules for the last, like, 10 years or so, I think. Like, 10, 15 years.
At least 10, if not 12, something like that, yeah. It's been like this for a while, but I remember when the match first started, that's how it was. I was like, man, come on.
But, that match was great, and then the post-match shenanigans you have a problem with, but I loved.
Well, the two issues I have is, one, that was a lot of blood. That was a lot of blood.
Well, he was in an accident without any like thing to hold him down. It makes sense.
I understand. It makes sense. I'm just saying that after already seeing what happened with Alexa early in the night and being faked out with that, and then seeing all this blood, I'm just like, what are they doing to these people? Come on!
Well, I'm sure that was obviously pre-taped, the collision.
But I mean,
Braun just threw some like fake blood all over him.
I was just like, this. Are they trying to give the image of they're trying to kill their wrestlers? Is that what they're doing?
That's the storyline they're doing. They're giving Roman a good reason to be hated as a heel because he literally committed attempted murder.
Yeah, but the other issue I had with it wasn't that whole situation. It was, okay, that is over. We're gonna keep following this. There's a match going on in the ring with a guy who just wrestled this last week for the Intercontinental Championship, but we're going to completely ignore it, even though our job is to call matches.
To be fair, Slater did win the match, though.
I'm glad about that, but it's just
I didn't mind it. I liked it, because I liked the whole, because that's them trying to be like, well, the show must go on. We're treating it as if it was an actual emergency. And what they should have done is they should have shown the match and shown the
going back and forth instead of just focusing on the one thing.
Or just have like a picture-in-picture showing what was going on,
like they do with
Reigns and Strowman, and then once the match ended, cut immediately back to what's going on. But instead, they cut back before the match even finished, and it was like, why did you do that? Like, it was a cool idea, poor execution.
Yeah. Because, I mean, once again, it's a matter of, all right, well, this guy who just wrestled for the Intercontinental Championship and a guy who just wrestled Seth Rollins last week on Raw, we're going to acknowledge there's a match, but we're going to completely ignore it for this. Like you were saying, they could have done, like, the picture-in-picture or just anything going back and forth, just something to show it going on instead of just having it as basically background noise and something for people in the arena.
Yeah.
And that's what upset me about
that. And even so, like, the people in the arena, if we were seeing that on camera and it was full screen, you know that was up on the Tron. Yeah. Full screen for them to watch. So it's like... You're not even, like, keeping the audience occupied because you're distracting them with the Tron thing.
Yeah.
So.
And, like I said, it just bothers me because it just kind of hurts Hawkins and Slater by doing it that way.
Mm-hmm. That petition sounds hilarious. Petition for Reigns to get arrested. I actually posted I actually tweeted a gif of saying like while the main event was going on, saying like meanwhile in Roman Reigns' car, and it was a rear view mirror of a police car that immediately splits out into like a flying V of police cars flashing their lights chasing the car.
Nice.
Because it was like, it's a cool moment, and like it built out Braun like a beast because he got up and refused medical help and walked away. So it technically should be a double turn because he came out looking like a face, like a tough as nails son of a bitch face, and Roman looked like an attempted murderer heel, which I think they're just going to book this as like, we're just going to let them act in character and you can cheer and boo them however you want. We're not going to do a full heel or face turn.
Which I don't mind.
But, again, like they said, like, Roman Reigns technically attempted murder and should be arrested. I mean, the character.
It reminds me of a thing that happened at a Wrestling Under the Stars event at Dutchess Stadium here in New York where Matt Striker was going to face Jerry Lawler, and it wasn't terribly long after he had parted ways with WWE. And he came out talking about how there are all these people that were newer than him that got to stay on and he got released. And how his plan was he was going to hit Jerry Lawler with the heart punch to stop his already not working heart and kill him and take his job back. It's just, so your plan is to kill him and somehow avoid getting arrested for murder and somehow get your job back in WWE. Okay, all right, whatever.
With that.
Yeah.
The Kurt Angle showing up made sense though, because
he's coming to check out a superstar.
Well, not only that, but like his timing. He's saying his timing coming out right after Roman got out of the car, but it makes sense because at that point Roman had already gone apeshit on Braun, put him in the ambulance and started driving the ambulance. So when he started driving the ambulance, then saw him like pausing, he may have put two and two together, and his office might have been very close to that part of the arena and just come out and like gone looking for him.
Yeah, I mean, it obviously wasn't that far from Gorilla, and I don't see why the general manager of the show would be that far away from the stage area.
Yeah, exactly.
So it makes sense for him to get there when he did.
Yeah, so it makes perfect sense to me. Although if I recall from being in Dallas multiple times, yeah, the exit is actually nowhere near Gorilla. I think it's by a restaurant or something. I can't remember, but anyway,
you can't tell that from the way they shot it.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, I think with the Dallas arena, you actually have to take like an elevator down to the but you know, tunnels and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Or I'm getting sidetracked. Yeah, I think it makes perfect sense. So. Yeah. I loved the shenanigans. I loved it. I thought it was great. I think that's a good way to not only keep Braun safe and make him look strong, but it also helped build Roman and maybe have people have more respect for Roman, or give people more of a reason to boo. So when people boo them, maybe WWE is like, it's not because they just hate Roman and hate his guts. It's because he tried to murder somebody.
Yeah. He's an attempted murderer. That's why people hate him. Mm-hmm. But maybe Unstoppable is right. I mean, Kurt could be a really fast runner. He is an Olympic athlete after all.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe he did it with a broken frickin' neck.
He's done a lot of things with a broken freaking neck, so I wouldn't be surprised.
The WWE 24 thing, which we will get to in a little bit, or later, was actually, revealed quite a bit about him and broken freaking necks.
Yeah. Well, I heard about that from, I forget what, but I know I saw something from him a while ago where it talked about he had like 4 broken necks in like a year, and it's like, how are you alive?
Yeah, that explains why his neck is so goddamn big. Like, I look at Kurt Angle nowadays, and I remember watching the beginning of that special, but actually, I'll get into that later.
Yeah.
Anyway, then we went on to the main event of Samoa Joe versus Brock Lesnar, and I loved the match. It was short. I wish it could have been longer. I understand time constraints, but then again, you're on your own goddamn network.
Yeah, that didn't stop you with WrestleMania, where you went over an hour.
Yeah, he did carjack the ambulance. Also, I play sports games. Yeah. So, car theft and attempted murder. And fleeing the scene of a crime.
Lots of things.
Sure
insubordination. You want to throw that in there?
Yeah. Again, I also want to. I also, like I was saying about Joe and Lesnar, I wish that the match was longer. But for what it was, I thought it was amazing. I thought it made Joe look great, and you still protected Lesnar enough.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I think didn't make Joe look as good is the fact that he got picked up rather quickly when Lesnar picked him up for the F5, as if it wasn't that big of a struggle to get him while being choked out, and then hit him with the one F5 and pinned him. I'm still alright with it, but I mean, that's the only thing I could see that wasn't that great about the match, like the wrestling and psychology wise.
It shows that Lesnar's a beast, and I would have been, and I have an issue a little bit with not letting Joe kick out of the F5, but
it caught him off guard.
Well, that's my point.
Yeah.
But my point is, but like when I looked after the match of like they showed Brock celebrating, and then they cut back to Joe, and you see Joe hang on the ropes looking pissed off. And it's like, okay, he didn't get sold as being knocked out. He just got caught off guard once, hit once, and couldn't kick out in time. And he's pissed off that he got caught off guard when he had the match and couldn't kick out in time.
And Big Stupid I actually said that as well.
You guys both called that on last week's podcast, the way that match would end.
Yeah, but the main thing that bothered me about the match was, once again, the referee. because there was a point where Joe had Lesnar in the coquina clutch and was in the corner on the ropes holding on, and the referee was just standing there just...
Yeah, the ref should have counted there.
Yeah,
like,
he didn't start any count. He didn't tell him get off them or get off the ropes or anything like that. He just sat there and let him just do this thing that is known as illegal.
I will say, though, to be fair, they did get off the turnbuckle before the count of... Like, I did an internal count of 5, and they moved before that.
I understand that.
But it was like...
Like I said, it's nothing on the wrestlers. It was on the referees that I had a problem with. The fact that he didn't do that. And so once again, a matter of how am I supposed to believe this is supposed to be an official, actual wrestling bout if you're a referee and you're not doing your job properly.
Yeah. But, yeah, that was Great Balls of Fire. It was a pretty solid event. I enjoyed it. I thought it was really good wrestling.
Yeah.
I think it made Raw look really, really good. Oh, we also forgot, we did forget one match, Rollins and Wyatt.
Oh, yeah.
Which... was a thing.
It wasn't a great match, but I like that Wyatt got the win.
Well, I like that Wyatt got the win, but I didn't like that he won via eye poke into Sister Abigail. Because I'm like,
heel.
Yeah, but the way the type of heel he's supposed to be is supposed to be like this overpowered cult leader, supernatural type person. Like, he should be so powerful and domineering that he shouldn't be resulting to eye pokes. It's like seeing the Undertaker eye poke somebody to win when he was a heel in the Ministry of Darkness.
And it's kind of similar to seeing Braun Strowman, who's supposed to be this big, unmovable mountain of a man, winning a match by stepping out of the way.
Yeah, but that's because he... Yeah,
no,
but
I understand what you're saying,
but it's not like heel tactics.
Yeah. I mean, he was a heel doing heel things, and he got the win. And hopefully he'll get another win, but... we'll see.
Yeah, Big Stupid, that's a good point. Like, that speaks volumes about the Rollins-Wyatt feud, the fact that we nearly forgot that match happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just feel like, if you want me to believe the words that are coming out of Wyatt's mouth, like, I'm going to look at him and say, look, dude, you haven't won a significant match since Elimination Chamber when you won because there were 4 other guys in the match. You haven't won a significant rivalry in a long time, and the last time you won a big match, you had to poke a dude in the eye to win. You're not some massive eater of worlds.
They need to start doing what they did when they first brought him to Raw, which is the end of almost every Raw for like a month or two was Wyatt standing tall over everyone else that happened to be in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
They need to start building him up as this guy who could just come down, take people out, and do his little... on his knees thing
if and they want
all the
to,
buzzers.
Yeah,
they need to start doing that again instead of just him saying Mumbo Jumbo on the Titantron and then barely winning one match. They need to actually have him start doing stuff.
The only way all this booking of Bray Wyatt makes sense to me is if WWE has this vision in their head that, like, we want Wyatt to be that. Like, this is a crazy theory I thought up of over the last week after Great Balls of Fire and the way he's been booked lately is like, what if, like, you know, Bray Wyatt talks about being the leaders of the world and the supernatural person and tries to do all these supernatural things, and it's like...
he's really the show Supernatural.
No. Why? What?
Because you're saying Supernatural a
lot. But, like, what if, like, what Rollins says is right, and, like, his character isn't being this supernatural cult leader. Maybe he really is just this Southern Bayou con artist who tricks people into thinking he's a supernatural cult leader and uses tricks on the eyes and plays in the eyes and props and all this other stuff to trick people into thinking he's got supernatural powers when really he doesn't, and that's why he loses a lot, and that's why when he needs to win, he resorts to dirty, underhanded tactics.
I don't like that.
It's a little conspiracy theory I have, and I don't like it, but that was just a thought I had. I'm like, maybe we've got the Bray Wyatt character all wrong, and he's really not this super powerful new face of fear like The Undertaker. Maybe he's just this con artist dude who started a cult. And really he doesn't have any supernatural powers, and everything he says is a lie, and it's because he's a cult leader. He's a crazy cult leader and not an actual supernatural force. And he's a con man.
Yeah.
That's the only explanation I have. I don't like it. I think it's dumb. I think that it's not a good way to use Bray Wyatt's character. I don't think that's the way Bray Wyatt wants his character to be, but like that's what I think now because of the way he's been booked.
Well, I think it's just poor booking, but
yeah. Anyway, that was Great Balls of Fire. And if we go over our predictions, we have ourselves a new champion.
Yep.
Your first ever 2-time champion. And what's funny is that I would have, even though we did that match trickery with Strowman Enzo, that kind of traded off anyway, I still won because I predicted the tag title match right.
Well, I mean, if you went with your initial gut instinct of Roman.
No, yeah, but my initial gut instinct was also Cass over Enzo.
True.
And I said I'll pick Strowman and Enzo and flop both of those over my gut instinct. Anyway, so here's how the results happen. Basically, so Neville versus Akira Tozawa, we both picked Neville, we were both right. Enzo versus Big Cass, I picked Enzo, you picked right with Big Cass. Cesaro and Sheamus versus the Hardy Boys, I picked right with Cesaro and Sheamus, you picked the Hardy Boys. Miz versus Dean Ambrose, we were both right with the Miz. Rollins versus Wyatt, we were both right with Wyatt. Bliss versus Sasha, we were both right with Bliss. Reigns versus Strowman, you had Reigns, I got it right with Strowman. And then Lesnar versus Joe, we both had Lesnar. That brings the total tally of right to wrong of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for you and 7 for me.
Yep.
And so, and new. Give it back. And new. Ooh, 100 100-bit tip from Big Stupid. Thank you, man.
Well, you see, here's the thing.
Fancy Suit Man. Hold on, let me read this real quick. Mr. Fancy Suit Man can claim shenanigans that you changed picks after you knew who he picked. That wasn't what he was doing, Big Stupid.
True. I could claim those shenanigans, but you see, unlike this guy here, I'm not going to make a big stink over the whole thing, and I'm not going to call shenanigans about who won matches and predictions and matches that never happened. I'm just going to be the good guy here and accept that I did not get the right picks and that he did and hand it over
and
like a
champion.
proper
I'm
gentleman.
the champion. The wrongs have been righted. And this is right where it belongs, even though it should have come back to me sooner. Anyway, I play sports game. That's right. Bliss technically didn't win. Sasha won, but we both predicted Bliss, so still equals out. So actually, you had 5, I had 6 then. So thank you for the correction. This is back home where it belongs. Hi, baby. Mwah. First ever 2-time.
Leave this show.
First ever 2-time champ.
Okay.
Predictions champ. And now I'm going to be the longest reign. I'm going to carry this straight on past Battleground, through SummerSlam, and into September and beyond.
We'll see. We'll see about that.
Because, I went through some hard times.
No, you did not.
That was some hard times.
The only thing you had was bitch fuel.
Having right predictions.
All you did is bitch
of right
and moan.
winners. And I wasn't granted
You
justice.
were just bitching.
Hard times, baby.
I've
been through some
and
hard
not being
times.
an asshole like this guy. I am being polite. I am being nice. I'm being very classy. Because you see, unlike this guy here, I'm the longest reigning, and I'm actually dressed like a champion should dress.
You're only dressed like that because of extenuating circumstances. You did not dress like that for this podcast.
Well, maybe I'll start dressing this way more often.
Go ahead, it'd be funny. Anyway, let's move on from the pay-per-view over to Raw. You want to break down stuff that happened on Raw?
Didn't get to watch it.
You didn't get to watch it?
No.
What is wrong with you?
As you pointed, there were extenuating circumstances that I was preparing for this week.
Another 100-bit. You know what I just realized? Properties. I gotta change something real quick. Device. Set this to. Where are you? Why isn't it there?
People are liking this real good audio right now, huh?
Can you do your kill shake from the game last night? You mean my horrible Bernie? Maybe. I'm trying to get the actual audio to play on the on the stream, but it wasn't. But since you cheered, I'll do it. Shake for me. Shake for me. Shake for me. Shake him at the title. Shake. Shake. Shake it, baby. 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 Shake it, baby.
Well, it's been fun, folks.
All right. Raw. We'll break down the basic stuff that happened. the big thing that happened was Lesnar basically making Kurt Angle want to cry after like what happened with Reigns yesterday, with Lesnar basically cursing on air. A big championship thing that happened was that Angle came out, introduced Lesnar, and said, we're still trying to determine who we want to be your SummerSlam opponent. I wanted to know if you and Heyman wanted to, brainstorm with me. And Heyman and Lesnar were like, we don't brainstorm in front of the public. And like they went to leave, and Roman came out, and Roman's like, you don't need an opponent because I'm gonna be your opponent. And Kurt Angle is like, dude, you just tried to murder somebody last night. How dare you? Who the hell do you think you are?
Mister, I just lost a match and almost killed a guy.
Mm-hmm. And then like Roman was talking about how you barely were able to beat Joe, and like I just destroyed a man like Braun Strowman
after losing the match.
I've earned this spot. And then like Lesnar came out with the line of the promo and he said, you don't, like Heyman tried to say something, and then he literally took the mic from Heyman and went, you don't deserve shit. And the crowd went nuts. And then Joe came out and was like, oh no, this ain't happening. Like, I deserve another opportunity. You didn't beat me last night. You survived me, and you know it. And Heyman was like, and Heyman started yelling at Joe, like almost as if like Joe was a threat.
What?
What?
He gets pinned clean in the middle of the ring. You didn't beat me. You survived me. So,
because Joe beat the living hell. It makes sense. Joe beat the living hell out of him the entire match. Almost had him choked out. And Lesnar merely survived by getting to hit the F5.
His coquina clutch is so good that he nearly choked me out by saying that.
Anyway, yeah, like I said, Heyman was yelling at Joe saying he'll never get a shot again. And the way he was saying it was that like it seemed like Heyman was terrified that if Joe ever got another shot, that he might actually win the championship and take it off of Lesnar. And then Joe looked at looked at Roman and was like, you haven't even beat me in a singles match. Who the hell are you talking about? You, the number one contender. And then Braun was also Kurt Angle initially came out to say that like Braun walked away without seeing medical help, and that like we don't know when we're gonna see him again. But then Angle was like, you know what? I got an idea. Since you guys don't want to help me with ideas, and you two have a problem with each other, you two are gonna face each other one-on-one next week. Winner faces Brock at SummerSlam. And what I think is going to happen...
Same thing I'm thinking is probably going to happen.
Braun's going to come out, destroy both of them, and we're going to get ourselves a fatal four-way match for the championship.
I'm not finished with you, Lesnar.
Which I think is actually a very good idea, because Lesnar can lose the championship and not get pinned.
Yeah, I mean, And
I can actually see this being where Braun wins his first championship.
I hope so, because it kind of would bother me if it's... Well, there's an option of two guys who will be in a match that have an opportunity to win a championship, who one had just lost a match for the championship and the other just lost a match to another guy and then tried to kill him.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's going to be...
And the idea of this stuff, if you lose a match, you take a step back. If you win a match, you take a step forward. And these are two men who had just lost big matches who are trying to take a step forward. It's no. You step back in the line. These people who actually did their job and won step forward. That's how it's supposed to get.
Yeah.
But I guess that's what happens when you almost die in an ambulance.
Yeah. So, what was I going to say? I think if this is the match that's going to happen, I don't think Joe's winning. He could, but I feel like this is a vehicle to give the Strowman Reigns angle the Universal Championship and get it off of Lesnar without having to deal with the issue of the Universal Championship not being on TV all the time anymore.
My hope is that it's not going to be a fatal four-way, though.
I think Big Stupid is right. I think it's going to be Reigns who pins Joe for the win for the championship, and then Strowman Reigns might happen, or I think it's either going to be Joe's eating the fall, or for Strowman or Reigns, or Strowman's going to get the fall on Reigns.
Yeah, I'm hoping though it's not going to be a fatal four-way. I'm hoping that it's going to be a triple threat. And that it'll be Lesnar versus Reigns versus Strowman.
No, Joe's going to be in there.
Well, the reason I'm hoping that Joe's not in it is I'm hoping this is a way to buy time until after Battleground, and you could have John Cena come out after defeating Rusev at Battleground in a flag match and start a rivalry between Cena and Joe and have Cena versus Joe at SummerSlam. That's a match I've been wanting to see for a while.
I mean, I would like to see it too, but at the same time, like, that doesn't, like, what reason would Cena have aside from being like,
well, I've never held the Universal Championship. And then Joe comes out to say something about that, and that sparks something between the two of them.
Maybe. I don't know. So that was one of the big things. The other thing was Cass came out and said, I did exactly what I said I was going to do. You're not going to be seeing Enzo anymore. He also said, I'm going to be, you all better face the facts that sooner or later I'm going to be the WWE Universal Champion. I'm going to main event WrestleMania. It's all going to happen because I have the drive and Enzo's not holding me back. I don't have the dead weight anymore. And then Big Show came out and like basically they had physicality, and then Cass had to powder out and leave, and so it looks like we're gonna get Big Show Cass.
Whoa.
So that's the thing.
He's 7 feet tall, and he's 7 feet tall.
And you can't teach them.
Basically. You can't teach them how to have a match with a 7 foot tall person.
Yeah. And then with the ladies, we had a tag match of Bayley and Sasha Banks versus Alexa Bliss and Nia Jax, and Bayley got the win.
Go
Bayley pinned Alexa Bliss. So it looks like we may get another fatal four-way between the ladies of Bayley, Sasha Banks, Nia Jax, and Alexa Bliss at SummerSlam for the Women's Championship.
Nice. Unless
we decide to have like some sort of like triple threat number one contenders match sometime between here and SummerSlam.
You know who I want to see walk out of SummerSlam with the Raw Women's Championship?
What?
Nia Jax.
I could be okay with that.
I think that if anyone other than Alexa should walk out with the championship that night, it should be Nia.
I could be okay with that. So that was that with the ladies. As mentioned with the tag team, the Hardys came out and they teased that they may finally have the rights to the broken gimmick.
Woo!
They came out and Jeff and Matt were talking about how, they were disappointed with how they lost and how people are saying that, the Hardys, the nostalgia's worn off. They can't hang anymore. That they maybe should just go fade away and become obsolete. And then the crowd went, "Oh my God, it's that line and that word that they use. We're gonna pop." And then Gallows and Anderson came out and were like, "We were the ones who said that you guys weren't gonna amount to anything," and blah 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 blah. We're the Magic Killers and all that stuff. And then Matt Hardy said, we're ready for a fight, despite the fact that we may be beaten, or might be a little beaten, a little bruised, a little bloody. He cuts to like the cut on his eye and goes, and maybe even perhaps a little broken. And then the crowd went, "Oh my God, they teased it again. I think they might actually do it this time."
Oh my God, they said the thing. They said the thing.
They said the thing. They did the thing. And then they basically went and had a match with Gallows and Anderson. Gallows and Anderson won.
Good for them.
And then the Revival came out and beat up on the Hardys.
Nice.
Which leads to a lot of people thinking, well, I think Broken's going to happen because they've lost the titles. They got cut up, beat up, bruised, broken. A lot of people they teased the obsolete thing, and then they got beat up by 2 other tag teams on Raw. So we think that this might very well be the start of the broken gimmick.
And I will
WWE.
not complain at all if there's a broken gimmick that involves a rivalry with the Revival.
Mm-hmm.
Anything with the Revival right now, I would love because the Revival are so goddamn good.
And the question is, who would be the face tag team to take on Cesaro and Sheamus? Are there any face tag teams left on Raw now that Enzo and Cass are broken up? So I'm pretty sure it's just the Revival, Gallows and Anderson, Cesaro and Sheamus, and the Hardys. I don't think there's not another face tag team. That's a problem because New Day's gone. Enzo and Cass are broken up.
Day's gone. New Day's gone. Maybe they'll do frickin' Enzo and Big Show or something.
Maybe I don't know.
Well, I mean, I doubt they'd do it, but something else they could do is they could do something like have
unless
they have Slater and Rhino. And they do also have the Miz Taraj.
Yeah, but it looks like they might be trying to give Slater a bit of a face push. The Miz Taraj are heels. Maybe what they're doing is because, for Raw's not going to have anything between now and SummerSlam, so they do have an entire month and a half of build. So maybe the entire month and a half story is it's going to be the Hardys versus Cesaro and Sheamus again, but they're going to have them become broken, come back, and basically battle their way through the rest of the tag division to make their way back to Cesaro and Sheamus.
Although I personally would just be happy if I don't care about storylines if the Revival went and won the titles and were like, look at us, and held the titles forever.
Mm-hmm. With the IC championship stuff, Miz came out and he had the Mizzies, the Miz Awards. And he did like best supporting cast goes to the Miz Taraj, and they were like, oh my god, this wouldn't have happened because of you. We worked so hard. And then he was like, best leading actress goes to Maurice, and she's like, oh my god, babe, I love you, thank you so much, I wouldn't have been here without you. Mwah, mwah, mwah. And then he goes, and then the final award is the toughest man in WWE, and he goes, Dean Ambrose. Oh no, wait, it's me, the Miz, because I beat Dean Ambrose, who you said was the toughest man in WWE. And then Dean Ambrose came out and started, and Miz was also saying like, who is going to challenge me? It can't be Dean Ambrose. Certainly isn't going to be Seth Rollins because Seth Rollins lost to Bray Wyatt. And so Ambrose comes out, attacks Miz, fights. The numbers game gets him, and then Rollins comes in to make the save because Miz ran his mouth about Rollins. And then in the back, after the run-in, because people are like, oh, maybe Shield reunion, Ambrose was like, hey, just so you know, I don't trust you. Don't think this is going to be some sort of Shield reunion. And
after
Rollins is
everything they've been through,
And Rollins was basically like, dude, Miz talked shit, so he got hit. And that was basically what they said that's what he said in the interview with I believe it was, who is it? Was it JoJo or Renee Young? I think Renee Young's on SmackDown now.
Who knows?
But whatever. And then Rollins faced Wyatt again. He lost again, which is good. And then the Miz and them came out to do shenanigans afterwards, I believe. And then Ambrose made the save, and Ambrose and Rollins stood tall, and it's like, what are we gonna do? And then it turned out that next week we're gonna get Miz and Wyatt versus Ambrose and Rollins, I believe. I think I could be wrong on that.
Here's what I'm hoping for: Miz and Wyatt to win, and then Wyatt hit Miz with his sister Abigail. And then another fatal 4-way for a title.
Right? It seems like all of Raw's championship matches at SummerSlam might be fatal 4-ways.
Yeah.
I did not know that the fatal 4-way pay-per-view was making a big comeback in the form of SummerSlam.
Maybe they're just doing it to match the number of hours that it's going to be. Fatal 4-way matches for 4 hours.
Yeah. So only other things of note from Raw that I recall, Kurt Angle got a message from Corey Graves, and like a text from Corey Graves. He's like, I have to come clean next week about everything, and he called somebody who is like, don't worry, we're gonna come clean next week, and I want you to be here with me, and we're gonna tell the world. He said, I love you. And people aren't sure what that means. They don't know if that means he has an illegitimate child. Maybe he has a lover, male or female. People are saying it might be Stephanie, it might be Dixie Carter, it might be Triple H, and it's a gay angle or something like that. I don't know.
I hope it's not Dixie Carter. And I know that rumor has it that Kurt Angle may have passed his physical test, and that it looks like they're building to do a match with Stephanie coming back soon of Angle versus Triple H at SummerSlam.
Yeah, well, I heard that they might be doing... I thought they were going to be doing that for WrestleMania.
I heard they're looking to do that possibly for SummerSlam.
Maybe. But yeah, I hear that, but like a lot of people think that it's probably Stephanie, and like maybe it turns out that Stephanie and Kurt have had an affair for years and years and years. And that stems from the old rivalry of them being friends from back in the Ruthless Aggression era.
And then they reveal their child, the Hand.
Maybe they do have an illegitimate child. But it's obviously not the Hand. Maybe it's an actual superstar. It's Noam Dar.
I was gonna say they have an illegitimate child. And they're just sitting back there. R-Truth, come on out here.
Jesus.
Kurt,
No.
I'm the same age as you. Shh.
People are saying apparently there's a rumor that Chad Gable is the kid. Yeah, some people think that because Chad Gable is like such a young superstar and he's like so much like Kurt Angle and he's an Olympian, that people are saying that Chad Gable may be the illegitimate child of Kurt Angle, and that's what the news is.
But he's
or
on
could be
SmackDown.
an illegitimate child between. Yes, it's Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman's a legitimate. Almost had a spit take there, didn't you? Braun Hog Daddy.
I can just see it now. They go out there, they reveal their illegitimate child is Braun Strowman, and he just cuts out, "I'm not finished with you, Dad!"
Oh god.
Oh, that would be amazing. Please, someone.
I mean,
that
it would
happen.
explain. It would also explain why Chad Gable's been getting a bit of a push lately.
Maybe
on
it's
SmackDown.
Elias Sampson. He's been drifting
God,
around.
no. Speaking of the Drifter, that's actually a good segue. He and Finn Balor had their match.
Okay,
Balor won. It was a good match,
I expected it.
and that's done and over with. So, yeah, hopefully Finn Balor will be on to bigger and better things, and hopefully that helps elevate Elias Sampson a little bit. I don't know if it really did in the end, but... And then the last thing to note on Raw was Goldust and R-Truth finally had their match, and it wasn't really that great, and Goldust won, and all that build-up feels like it's for practically nothing.
Yeah.
So, don't know why they invested so much time in that. So that was Raw. On the SmackDown, which I know you also didn't watch.
Yep.
Bad.
Hey.
Bad.
Hey.
I wish I had a roll-up newspaper.
Hey.
Yeah, find an emo joke. All right. So on SmackDown, it opened up with AJ Styles on a promo because he had won the U.S. Championship at Madison Square Garden.
That's crazy.
That's how big the WWE views the MSG live events. They're actually treated almost like SmackDowns and Raws, and titles can change hands.
That reminds me of my one coworker that also watched wrestling was talking to me. He's like, "How do you feel about AJ beating Owens for the title at Madison Square Garden?" And I looked at him and I said, "I'm pissed." And you wanna know why I'm pissed?
Because I wasn't there.
Because it was a Saturday, and it was at Madison Square Garden. I had the day off. I could have been there and seen it live, but no.
Mm-hmm. So, he's now your champion, which I am perfectly fine with. Now he's got the U.S. Championship, so now he just needs a tag title or the Intercontinental to become a Triple Crown.
No, I need a tag title.
No, because...
It has to be different tiers. It has to be tag team, second tier.
No, because you become a Grand Slam... Because people become Grand Slam by winning Intercontinental, U.S., tag, and like one of the world titles or something like that.
Yeah,
it's
that's
just
because
the number
that's
of titles.
all of them. No. The Triple Crown is from a tag team, an individual, and a world. But the Grand Slam is having held all four of those. Because it used to be you didn't have to hold it used to be either Intercontinental or US, but since they brought it down to just those two, that's why it's those two now. Because it used to be like you could do Intercontinental US and then like European or Hardcore or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, in order to be a Triple Crown, you need to have held tag title.
Anyway, we're getting off track.
Gold, yeah.
He came out and he said, there's somebody else who
Owens actually broke his thumb.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, that happened before the Money in the Bank actually, and he agreed to wrestle through the pain.
Yeah, he actually wrestled on SmackDown, but like Owens, it's not the fact that Owens is going to get suspended. It's just the fact that it's a Madison Square Garden show, and Madison Square Garden is still seen, even if it's a live event, untaped live event, it's still seen as a big deal in WWE.
Yeah, exactly. Vince McMahon personally shows up to every MSG show.
Mm-hmm. Oh no, there are so many people from the Stanford offices that go to the MSG shows to work them because they're treated as very big deals.
Yeah.
Anyway, if I can actually finish my talk about the first segment.
Yeah, I guess so.
AJ came down and he said, there's this guy who used to do open challenges with the United States Championship. You know what? I'm going to do it. Open challenge for whoever wants to come out. So John Cena came out and was like, I'm assuming because you referenced that I used to do the open challenges, you were referring to anyone but me. And AJ Styles goes, no, I mean you too. Let's do this. And they're like, okay, let's go. Let's do it. Challenge accepted. They all get ready to do the match, and then Kevin Owens like, whoa, 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 no, 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 this ain't happening. No, 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 this is dumb. And then Rusev comes from the crowd and starts beating up on Cena, and AJ turns around to try and help. Out comes Owens, and hits like the pop-up power bomb on AJ as as Rusev puts the I can't remember what he calls his camel clutch.
Wow.
Wow, why am I blanking on that?
God, this is gonna bother the hell out of me.
Well, I'm sure somebody in chat will let us know.
Someone help us,
his
please.
finisher, his camel clutch finisher on Cena. And that set up a tag match. The Accolade, there it is. Thank you, Unstoppable.
Thank you.
And so that set up the main event tag match. In the women's division, next week, or no, Battleground, Shane McMahon, or I can't remember if Shane or I think it was Shane because Daniel Bryan wasn't there this week. I think it was Shane. Shane said that there will be a fatal 5-way match, and the winner of that match will be the number one contender to Naomi's WWE Women's Championship. So it's going to be Charlotte, Becky Lynch, Tamina, Natalya, and Lana, because Carmella has the briefcase. And also another funny thing is that like Carmella came out during the promo and was like, "I have a written summons from my lawyer demanding that you end James Ellsworth's suspension." And Shane's like, "Oh, really? Rip, rip, rip. Oh, whoops."
Man, whatever. I'm glad he's off TV. He was funny for a little bit, and then
he works well with Carmella. I'm just glad that he's suspended for a few weeks, given what happened with all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like storyline wise, like kayfabe wise, makes sense for him to be suspended for a while. What else happened? In the tag division, New Day and the Usos continued their rivalry. Xavier Woods faced Jey Uso in a match. Jimmy Uso tripped up Woods at one point, and E and Kofi almost came into the ring yelling at the refs. The ref was like, "You know what? All three of you out." So it became like a true one-on-one match.
Nice.
And Woods actually won.
Nice.
So props to Woods. Props to my boy Woods. He won with an elbow drop from the turnbuckle onto Jey, who was hanging on the middle rope.
Ooh.
It was pretty cool. So Woods won that. And then in other tag division news, we got our new Fashion Files, where they were Texas Rangers, starring but not really co-starring but not really co-starring Chuck Norris, which meant that they just had an image of Chuck Norris saying starring Chuck Norris, and then in parentheses, not really. And they were both dressed up as cowboys, and Fandango had one of those toy stick horses that he was riding on. And they wanted to investigate Zack Ryder. So he went up to Zack Ryder, and like, as he's talking to Zack Ryder, he's bringing the toy horse like closer and closer, like nuzzle Zack Ryder's chest, and he's like, "What's going on?" He's like, Don't worry. She's friendly. Just pet her. It's fine. She's friendly. And then he's like, okay. And he's like, here, could you park her for me? And he gave him the Zack Ryder, and Zack Ryder like put it up on a ladder.
Oh, that's good.
And then he's talking to Ryder, and Breeze comes along. And then Mojo Rawley comes up, and like they're saying, well, you know, when you showed up, it was when you showed up, or shortly after that, or shortly before that, that our place got wrecked. So we wanted to check all this stuff. And he was like, no, it wasn't me. And then he's like, speaking of Mojo, you know, like, why the hell did you toss me out like that last week? And Mojo's like, that was that. It's a different thing. Let's go. Like new day, new week. Let's go. And then they both walk off. And then Breeze and Fandango look, and the horse is gone. And Fandango's like, no, she's gone. She was so young. She didn't deserve it. Why? And Breeze is just like, well, you know, what was it? And Breeze was like, well, you know who this is? It could only mean one thing. Who could have done this? It could mean one thing. And then Fandango's like, you think what I'm thinking? Like, yes. And at the same time, Fandango says aliens, and Breeze says ghosts. So they go like, ghosts, aliens. ghost aliens, and then like they're like, we gotta get to the bottom of this, and then an image shows up of them in like Men in Black suits with shades on. It says next week, the Fashion X-Files.
Okay, one thing I have to say about that is, I know this is a little bit of a different thing. I wonder if writers for SmackDown listen to that one podcast I listen to, My Brother and Me, because two things I always go on about are horses and ghosts. They even have a bumper sticker that you can get for your car that says, "My other horse is a ghost."
Why?
Ghost horses. A horse is stolen by a ghost? Anyway. So what else happened?
I think what else happened on SmackDown.
The King of Strong style.
Nakamura was supposed to have a match with Baron Corbin, but as Corbin was making his entrance, Nakamura jumped him. They started brawling with each other, and they pulled away. So it looks like Battleground. We're going to see Nakamura versus Corbin. Hopefully, I hope Nakamura wins, but Corbin still looks strong while doing it.
I'm sure Corbin will lose because, I mean, he's got the briefcase.
Yeah, he's got the briefcase, which is protection for him. We had Maria demanded to see Sami Zayn, for somebody to send Sami Zayn his way. So Sami went to go talk to them, and they were basically ignoring him. And he was like, "Are you guys serious? Like, what the hell are you doing?" And he goes to Mike Kanellis and goes, like, "Is this all you do? Like, do you actually compete?" And then Maria slapped him across the face, and Mike picked up a glass vase and broke it over Sami's back.
Interesting.
So it looks like we are going to get Mike Kanellis and Sami Zayn as a rivalry. And then the only other thing that happened was, of course, the main event. Cena and AJ won. It ended with Rusev hit a super kick on Cena, but then AJ went and hit the phenomenal forearm on Rusev. Owens went to hit something on AJ, but he ducked it. Pele kicked Owens, who then sold right around into Cena for an AA, and then that was the match. Basically, it was like, can these two like work together? And they had a promo before the match where Cena was like, "We're gonna settle this whole open challenge thing for the United States Championship at one point, but tonight, despite our history, I've got your back." And so they worked together and everything, and they both celebrated together. And SmackDown went off happy.
Yeah.
So that was SmackDown. Did you watch NXT?
I watched the first match of NXT.
You can talk about the first match of NXT then.
Okay, so the first match of NXT was Aleister Black with a brand new debut on NXT of Bobby Fish.
And this was a good match.
It was so
Bobby
good.
Fish.
And I also want to point out that at the end of the match, there was a shot of the crowd where there were two people kind of like going like this, and right behind them was a guy with long hair and a pink shirt that we know named JJ.
Yeah. I saw JJ a couple times this episode.
Yeah. But it was a really good match.
What a debut for Bobby Fish. I knew Aleister Black wasn't going to lose.
I didn't know he was trained by Harley Race.
Yeah. He's also, you know who his tag team partner is? Kyle O'Reilly.
Nice.
So, and a lot of people are talking about Kyle O'Reilly potentially coming to the WWE as well. So, good stuff. Bobby Fish, world-class worker, trainer. He had a great debut. I knew he wasn't going to win because, people, unless they're really pushing you to the moon, they're not going to have you win in your debut. And also, he was facing Aleister Black, who they're pushing to the moon.
Yeah.
But he made Aleister Black work. It was the toughest match that Black's had so far.
It's the first match I've seen where Aleister Black had difficulty beating someone.
Yeah, and didn't dominate and destroy somebody.
With the exception of Cassius Ohno.
Yeah, and what about that finish of that match? Good God.
Kick.
Like, Fish was
my God.
Fish was like, "Come on, let's go." And Aleister Black is like, "Okay, fighting spirit, mofo." And just destroyed him with a couple strikes, killed him with the knee, and then killed him with Black Mass. That finisher looks so devastating, and he is so precise with it. It's insane.
Yeah, it's so good.
Then, what else did we have? Then Johnny Gargano came out, and Johnny was like, I don't know what to say about what happened with Ciampa and whatnot, but I'm looking forward. And all I know is that I still have all you that have my back, and it's time for me to be Johnny Gargano again. He was like, the DIY was a great time, but it's time for me to be Johnny Gargano again. It's time for me to be Johnny Wrestling again. And everybody's like, yay! And then he walked off.
Wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Johnny Wrestling.
Mm-hmm. So it was cool, but it was like we don't have a clear path of what Gargano's going to do. It's just, I'm back, and I'm going to kick some ass.
I know what I hope he's gonna do.
What?
Eventually win the NXT Championship and then get attacked from behind by Ciampa, and then at some point, I'm guessing it might be a while from now, and I don't want him to be in NXT for that long, but I could see TakeOver Brooklyn or whatever the TakeOver is for SummerSlam next year being the two of them in the main event.
If you want to keep him down there for that long, yeah. But you've also got Killian Dane, Drew McIntyre, Bobby Roode, Hideo Itami, and Cassius Ohno to go.
That's what I'm
and
saying.
Roderick Strong. And Eric Young.
Yeah.
There's so many people. Plus, if they decide to push Aleister Black, there's so many people fighting for that NXT Championship or just trying to get there.
Yeah.
We saw a little WWE.com exclusive of Cassius Ohno and Hideo Itami arguing after their tag match last week, and Cassius Ohno was basically like, look, I've tried to get through with you, but you're basically being a dick, and you're blaming everybody else for your issues and your problems. I'm done trying to help you, and walked away. So it looks like we are going to get them to fight one another.
Mm-hmm.
We had a qualifying match for the Mae Young Classic between two ladies. I do not remember their names. I apologize, but it was actually a pretty good match. One of them was she was a big time amateur wrestler. She made it to states and her high school team.
Cool.
And all that stuff. She was a little green, you could tell. I think she was a Performance Center product.
Yeah.
And the other chick won. It was impressive. Her finisher is really good. It was almost like a fish hook, almost like a fisherman hook, a sidewalk slam kind of thing. Interesting. So that was cool. That got the Mae Young Classic promoted. There was some other stuff that happened.
There was a tag team title match.
Yes, but I'll get to that in a second. We also saw Drew McIntyre after last week trying to leave the arena to find Alexander Wolf sitting on the hood of his car, and then he was attacked from behind by Killian Dane, and Killian Dane and Alexander Wolf both beat him up, I guess because he said he could beat Killian Dane and deserved a shot over the championship over him. So then we cut to Bobby Roode talking to William Regal. William Regal was like, we got to figure out who you're going to face at Brooklyn. So we're going to do next week Drew McIntyre versus Killian Dane. Winner is number one contender at TakeOver Brooklyn. So it's going to be McIntyre because you're not going to do heel on heel of Dane versus Roode.
Not yet, at least.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure it's going to be Drew McIntyre. We're going to get Drew McIntyre versus Bobby Roode.
The
at NXT
glorious Bobby Roode.
Mm-hmm.
He's so good.
Yes. And then we had ourselves a tag title match, which was good. And Heavy Machinery looked really good, really strong. They isolated it's Otis Dosovich and Trevor Knight. So they isolated Tucker Knight. They isolated Tucker Knight. Otis got the hot tag. It looked like they were going to win with their finisher, which proof that Heavy Machinery hasn't been around enough that their finisher isn't that good. The crowd didn't get hyped when they teased that they were going to hit their finisher.
Yeah.
It was dead silent. And then out of nowhere, I can't remember who it was, Akam or Razar, who came in and made the breakup. But hit
the taller one or the shorter one?
I can't remember.
Okay.
Hit a big boot to knock out Tucker Knight. And then they immediately reversed, got the other one got off Otis, and they hit what's the name of their finisher?
The final
chapter. They hit the final chapter and pinned Otis for the 1, 2, 3. It was a good match. It also showed that that Heavy Machinery still does need a little bit of work, and they need potentially a better finisher. But
it
was a good match.
Predicted.
It was a good match, and then guess who came out?
TM61?
No.
Damn.
Sanity.
Really?
Sanity sans Eric Young came out, and then pages of the authors of Pain's book started falling from the top of the arena and covering Sanity, and Killian Dane and Alexander Wolf started ripping up pages and chewing on the pages and everything, and laughing maniacally with Nikki Cross there with them, and Ronaldo and Percy and McGinnis were like, is this what Eric Young meant with his machinations and big moves and plans? And so it's looks like we might get Sanity versus Authors of Pain, which is weird because it's heel on heel.
Whatever.
So I don't know.
You can do good heel on heel.
I mean, maybe we will get TM61 in on this, or maybe Heavy Machinery will get back in there because I feel like we need, and maybe it'll be a triple threat or fatal 4-way tag match at TakeOver Brooklyn. Because I feel like it's cool, but I feel like you need a face tag team in there to work with Authors of Pain and with Sanity.
I don't know. We'll have to see.
Mm-hmm. And so that was WWE for the most part. Do you want to briefly talk about the special that came out this week that focused on a man who wrestled apparently multiple times with multiple broken freaking necks?
Can I bring up one other thing that I want to bring up quickly that we haven't discussed yet?
Sure.
Which happened after we had finished recording last week. Unfortunately, Austin Aries is no longer with WWE.
Yes.
Rumor has it it's because of the fact that he was not happy with being on the pre-show of WrestleMania, because being on the pre-show means you do not get WrestleMania royalties.
Ooh.
And that he felt like he was stuck in the prison that was the Cruiserweight division and would not be able to go out of that.
Well, 205 Live does feel like a dungeon.
Exactly. And so between him not being happy with that stuff and apparently because of it, having somewhat of a bad attitude in the back, WWE released him. It was not a mutual thing.
Wow.
Which is very unfortunate.
That sucks.
Yeah. But I wouldn't be surprised to see him go and try to join the Bullet Club or something now.
Yeah, I liked Austin Aries' work. I wanted to see him on the main roster, but it is what it is. If he had a bad attitude, then, he had a bad attitude. And he apparently notoriously has a bad attitude from dating back in his TNA days, too.
Yeah.
So, it sucks. But, WWE will survive. And maybe this means he will eventually change his attitude and come back with a changed attitude and end up on the main roster. I don't know.
Hopefully.
But it does suck. It does just go ahead and speak volumes about the quality of the Cruiserweight division in 205 Live right now and how badly it needs a revamping and a reimagining.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. But, they released the Kurt Angle Homecoming video this week, and it was really, really good. I really enjoyed it. I liked seeing him meeting Stephanie and Hunter and Vince for the first time in 12 years, something like that. And just the in-depth talk about his career when he was going in to become the gold medalist for the Olympics in 1996, and how he broke his neck in the qualifier and was basically just numbed up in order to get into and through the match, and won his gold medal with a broken neck, and how he recovered from that.
And he won in the qualifier with the broken neck. He won the final and the qualifier, and won the semifinal right after he broke his neck.
Yeah. And just all this. Yeah. And all the stuff that he went through to get into WWE, and when he finally got there, and how he didn't believe Vince on anything, and Vince was always proving him wrong about how he'd be booed for doing things a certain way. And just his entire journey in WWE, and how in a matter of a couple years he broke his neck 3 or 4 times.
4 times. Because he was going so hard. Because at that point in time in the Attitude Era, there were so many big stars. He was trying to not lose too much time, become irrelevant. So he pushed himself so goddamn hard they didn't allow his neck to heal properly every single time. And basically, because he didn't let it heal properly or pushed himself too hard in rehab, or physical therapy, he basically created a perfect storm for him to break his neck in multiple times.
Yeah. And how he started getting really heavy into drug use and all that kind of stuff. Got real dark real quick, but I think the most surprising part about the whole thing was Dixie Carter being on there and actually talking about TNA in general. Yeah,
they acknowledged TNA, which is like the first in a while.
Yeah. The only time I've ever seen WWE come close to acknowledging TNA before is in a short little joking sketch they did on the Edge and Christian show that totally reeks of awesomeness, where they were saying, what is the initials of the promotion that WWE will never ever acknowledge? And then you just saw a picture of Test and Albert on the screen, and they go, yeah, this is all we can show, they won't let us say the name, and just moved on. But that's the closest they had done before until now.
Yeah.
Which hopefully that's part of what is helping get this deal done about the broken gimmick and stuff like that. But it was a very good thing overall. They included part of his Hall of Fame speech, like when he was singing "I'm a sexy Kurt."
I'll make your ankle hurt.
Yeah, all that, and him pouring the milk on stuff. It was great overall, and I enjoyed it. Definitely worth the time to go watch it.
If you guys are a Kurt Angle fan, or enjoy the WWE 24 documentaries, or just a wrestling fan in general, I highly recommend you watch that special.
One thing that I'm going to recommend it highly to is people who have started watching WWE within the last 10 years and haven't seen Kurt Angle's work and have heard his name. this is a great way to go and get to know the guy and understand where he's been and what he's done in this company now that he's the general manager of Raw and everything. It's a good way to be introduced to his background if you haven't seen anything before.
And with that, we bring an end to the wrestling discussion and into the video games. Now I'm going to let you drive that since I drove most of the most of the wrestling discussion this week.
The first thing that I will talk about is
Weekly Overwatch
news. They have now released all of Doomfist's extra stuff on the PTR, so if you want to go check it out, you can see all of his skins, all of his sprays, all that stuff.
IGN has a video of it if you're looking for it.
So it is Polygon in a bunch of places. I had to say, the basic skins for it, you okay over there?
I'm fine. No.
The basic skins are nothing to like write home about. The I think it's epic they call it levels, which is the purple, are pretty decent. I like them. I like the cheetah print. I like the painted. The legendaries are kind of odd. Like I kind of like the Avatar and Spirit ones where they're like red and blue and they're like all mystical and everything, but then they've got the alternate universe version of Overwatch where Doomfist has taken to robotics to technologically advance himself. And the best way I've heard it described is he is basically a cheesy, bad 90s comic cartoon villain where he's just all metal and has like metal nips and everything.
I think that's the point of that skin.
Yeah, I know.
Kind of cheesy and cheeky.
In which it's just kind of like, one thing I like about it is he's got like the fin on his head like Yondu does. But yeah, they've got that, and hopefully, from what I heard, by the end of this month, we should have Doomfist coming to all systems.
Oh, cool.
Which would be nice. They've started with some nerfs, which is what a lot of people expected, so yeah.
Yes.
Yay, Overwatch. Next, apparently, Xbox One has come out with an update where now people can load pictures onto their Xbox for custom pictures for their gamer pics on the service, and obviously there are some things you can't do, as is expected, and you'll get in trouble if you try to put them up.
Like no DPs.
Yeah.
No DPs.
Yeah.
Get away from those DPs.
So, yeah, now you could actually have like a picture of yourself on there instead of just like Master Chief.
Yeah.
Things like that, which
is
cool, unique. I'm glad that they're finally doing stuff like that on there, because I remember back, I don't have an Xbox One, I remember back on the 360 just having to do that kind of stuff, and it was just like, when are they going to change it like PlayStation has? But they've finally done that now. And I believe it also works with the profiles you could have through their gaming stuff on Windows 10 as well. Some stuff that I'm sure you'll want to talk about is we've got PUBG news.
PUBG news!
First thing that we'll talk about is how they're apparently going to have first-person only servers for the game. So if you want, you could play the game in only first person against people. Makes it more difficult and more realistic.
Yeah, which I don't know. I'm too used to third person PUBG, and I'm paranoid, and it's so hard to like
a game like
figure
that,
out where people are in first person. So I don't know how well that's gonna be. I know me personally, whenever I go into first person, which is almost accidental, I panic like a little child.
Yeah.
So maybe not for me, but if there are people who want to do, maybe it's worth trying out, or maybe if there are people who like first person or prefer first person, it's for them.
Yeah, I mean, the thing I like about it is it's having more variety for the game. I mean, you're already getting more variety with now more maps, more weapons, new modes. You can do custom games where you can change all kinds of stuff, and now they've got this. I just like how it's expanding and making it more diverse, so that way it can include more people. And then they've also recently signed a deal with Facebook where now they will be doing some exclusive streaming stuff with Facebook with some of their own people in-house, which is very interesting. I think it's about once or twice a month they're going to have people from their studio or people that are higher up in the community that people like, and do like a couple streaming sessions a month with those people on Facebook Live as a way to try and promote both Facebook and the game
that's
itself.
an attempt for Facebook to try and be more relevant in the rising world of digital video on the internet.
Yeah, exactly. They're trying to build up their streaming
especially
service.
Live video.
Another little bit of news is Astro Gaming, which was owned by Skull Candy, has now been acquired by Logitech.
Huge news.
Yeah, huge news. A company that's been making all of your third-party mice and keyboards and headsets and pretty much anything you can think of that's third-party for games, Logitech, now has this very, very big name headset brand as a part of their
if you
group.
guys don't know Astro, they've been known as the top, like, one of the top headset mic
some of the best you could get out there.
Peripheral makers for like the last like 10 years or so. Pretty much right up there with Turtle Beach. Like, normally the rivalry is between Turtle Beach and Astros. I know that there are more companies like Razer and even Logitech has tried to get their own stuff out there, Triton. But it's mostly been like between Astro and Turtle Beach for the most part, for the major part of the last 10 years. And now this is clearly a move by Logitech. I guess they've recently tried to get into the headset peripheral world, but I don't think their stuff
for
was
PC before.
Yeah, their stuff hasn't been seen. I don't think it's too high quality and great, so they probably figured we'll just buy Astro and we'll gain the profits through them. We can corner that market by acquiring Astro and letting them do their thing and just collecting the profits. They could also
funnel money into Astro to make more and bigger stuff.
Yeah, allow them to make even better products than what they're already making.
Yeah, the deal was for $85 million in cash to acquire from Skullcandy, so hope it pays out for
which
them.
Actually isn't that much. Like, I was expecting like a couple
$100 million. It's not that
million.
much, but it's also a lot at the same time.
Yeah, but in these days and age, in this day and age, whenever like a major company buys a subsidiary from another company, it normally or buys out a company outright, it normally ends up in the billions. Yeah. So I'm just shocked that it was less than $100 million.
Yeah, true.
For
well,
Astro.
I mean, they weren't buying an entire company; they were buying something that was part of another company from that company. So it was more of assets at this point, kind of. They started off as their own company, but then they became part of another company, and they're just buying the licensing and all that stuff from them.
Yes.
And then I believe you had some stuff that you wanted to talk about with Destiny 2.
Yes, Destiny 2. The beta is coming out next week. So major hype. As people know, I am a big Destiny 1 fan, as you can tell from the shirt I am wearing. Original Destiny shirt with the logo for each of the 3 classes.
And I'm a Star Wars fan.
That has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
I know, but if we're showing things off, I wanted to show my
it was connected to what we were talking about. That's why I did it.
So
you want to show things off that we're wearing? I'll show this off. A predictions championship that I just won again. One back, two time.
Longest training over here.
Anyway, Destiny 2 news with the beta coming out. Early access is going to happen on Tuesday, July 18th for PlayStation 4. Exclusive early access. Then exclusive early access is going to extend to Xbox the next day, Wednesday, July 19th. Then on Thursday, July 20th, it becomes an open beta for everyone to try out, and it goes from that Thursday until Sunday the 23rd. But IGN is still running its IGN first stuff, so we got a bunch of new info on PvP, on some of the classes and stuff like that. For instance, we got a look into the new Control map, the new Control game mode. Control is the classic PvP game mode for Destiny 1. And in original Destiny 1, the way it worked like a traditional point capture game that originated from domination in Call of Duty, where there were 3 points. You got credit for the kills, but for the most part, you accrued points over time based on how many points you controlled, and you gained more points for the more controls you had, more points you controlled, and then you get that point to win. It was the same kind of concept with Destiny 1, but they've changed that now. Now the way that it operates is you get points, and you get 1 point for a kill. However, you don't get any general points for control captures, but the control point captures now add as modifiers or bonuses. So if you control 2 capture points and have the control advantage, you get 2 points for every kill instead of 1.
Okay.
And then so you get a bonus point. And then if you control all 3 points, you get what's known as a power play. So you'll get 3 additional points for every kill you get.
Very nice.
And so that not only does that allow for like kills to matter, along with the it finds a happy balance between kills and control capture. It also doesn't penalize people for going for all 3 capture points, because in the original Destiny you would go for all 3 capture points, and you would maybe get a little bit of a boost for a little bit of time, but you would flip the spawns and you'd lose a capture point and then potentially lose another one because your guys are out of positioning. So it's like with this one, you can control all capture points, and then you get a major boost, like 3 points as opposed to 1 point per kill.
Yeah,
is a huge point. And then even if you lose another point, you're just dropping back down to 1 point to 2. Which isn't that huge of a difference or a disadvantage, especially if you can fight back and come back from it. So it's a cool little thing. Also, A and C, which are the default capture points for either side, you had to originally go and capture them. Those are now automatically captured, so you don't have to waste time there. You can go right away and start killing people trying to capture the
third one.
Like the third one, which would be B, or if you're on C, capture A, and vice versa. And then the other thing is, it used to be in the original Destiny where the more people you had on a control point, the faster it would capture. Now the capture rate is the same.
Okay.
So that way it prevents players from having to bunch up on a little point that allows them to get easily killed. It allows them to be more strategic and defend the point better without having to stand on the same on the point at the same time to capture.
In a certain area where you could just fire at them.
Yeah. So we got to look at that. We got to look at a couple of new maps. One of which is the Gondola Station from Rise of Iron, like reimagined. So that's a new map. We also got to see the new Voidwalker, which their new super, at least what we saw of it, because there could be different versions based on the skill trees you pick, is when they fired their Nova Bomb, it was a much larger blob, and it moved slowly, but it like followed and tracked people to kill them.
Interesting.
Which was very cool. And then we got to look at the Captain America Sentinel Titan. And what he does is when he pops his super, his bubble has a certain amount of health, and I believe it drains with the duration of the super. And it has a certain amount of damage, and as it takes damage, apparently like holes are supposed to open up, and like it'll eventually slowly deteriorate. And that's if you hold on to the super buttons after you charge it. If you just press it, you summon the actual shield itself, and you can like shoulder bash into people. You can block damage, and you move at a decent pace, or you can like throw it towards people and it'll bounce off of walls to try and hit people, or hit people and bounce off of them to hit others, and then come back to you.
Interesting.
So
you can be legit Captain America.
Yes, you can. And that was pretty much it. We got to see the multiplayer gameplay, that sort of stuff. We heard stuff on the story and how they want to basically have people, the biggest complaint for people for Destiny 1 was that there wasn't enough story. They want people, the biggest complaint for Destiny 2 is that there's too much story. They're going to have exotic quests where the store like grimoire stories from the extended lore about those weapons will be told throughout the quest as you go through them and stuff like that. So that was an example of how they're trying to bring the grimoire from being this thing that you had to go all the way to Bungie.net to read, which was a pain in the ass, to actually integrating it into the game.
That's good.
And of course they emphasized that, like, you know, a lot of the characters are going to have their own stories and stuff like that, and you're going to find out more about the Vanguard characters as they regain their light and all that stuff. So very cool stuff there. I'm trying to think. I feel like there was one more thing that they talked about, but I am forgetting it right now. So I guess we will just leave it at that. And then just one more friendly reminder for the Destiny 2 beta. What's going to be available is the first mission, which is the mission of the tower getting attacked that we saw at the gameplay reveal. Both control and the new I can't remember the game mode, but the new like bomb mode.
Yeah.
Both those modes will be available in PvP, and then the strike that we saw at the gameplay that was shown at the gameplay reveal event. That's all going to be what's available in the beta. And I heard reports saying that the new subclasses may not be in the beta. It might only be Striker, Voidwalker, and Gunslinger, the new versions of those subclasses.
Okay. So that'd be interesting if they didn't include the new stuff. But
yes, it was believed that you might have access to both. So I'm not sure. You might have access to both, which includes the new subclasses, or just the upgraded old subclasses.
All right, then.
So, Destiny 2 news.
Yes.
Big blowout.
I believe that does that for us today.
That wraps it up for us?
Yeah.
All right, so that'll do it for episode 15 of the Super Grapple Bros podcast. Thank you guys so much for watching. Do not forget, if you're watching this back pre-recorded, we go live on Twitch every Friday on twitch.tv/L_Murpho, so be sure to come catch us whenever we live stream, join in the chat, ask us questions. You know, as you know, if you listen or watch us, we do call out people when they participate in the chat and stuff like that. We will interact with folks. Mm-hmm. So you can catch us on VOD, both on Twitch as well as on YouTube, which is at youtube.com/LMurphoReal. You can check us out on video form there and participate in the comments on YouTube as well. And maybe if you raise some questions, we can answer them, or topics, we can bring them up.
Yep.
You can also listen to us on SoundCloud, iTunes, and now Google Play. We got approved for Google Play this week, so you can find us on all your Android devices as well. You can find us on Play Music. Just look on those platforms for Super Grapple Bros. And if you have any other podcast thing, I believe, that has like RSS feeds, or is like a third-party thing that uses iTunes or Google Play as their main source, you should be able to find us there as well. Yep. Just look for Super Grapple Bros. And do not forget to rate and review us on those places, because the more ratings, the more ratings and reviews and subscriptions we get on iTunes and Play Music and those places, and SoundCloud, the more exposure we get on the platform. Yeah, the more people that we get to that we reach, the more people that can interact with us in the chat and have more cool, fun times with us. If you only listen to us audio-wise, or you don't want to leave a comment on YouTube, but you have a question or a topic you would want us to discuss or answer, go ahead and send an email to supergrapplebros@gmail.com. We'd be happy to look them over and make the decision about answering it on our next episode, or potentially using the topic as something to discuss in a future episode. So I believe that is everything covered correctly.
Yep.
Correct. All right, cool. And do not forget also, I also will live tweet whenever we go live for Super Grapple Bros as well. And I post whenever the episodes go live on my Twitter account, which is L_Murpho. So be sure to give me a follow over there on Twitter if you want to get the Twitter scoop on when we go live here, and both on demand in audio and video form. Thank you all so much once again for watching. This is your champ, once again, El Murpho, signing out alongside your former champ.
Your former and longest reigning champ, and the snazzy dresser, DMurph.
So he says.
Oh, those are all facts. I don't see why you're saying all factual things.
Well, good dress. That you're wearing a suit. That doesn't mean you're good dressed.
I said snazzy.
Doesn't mean you're snazzy.
I'm snazzier than you.
Your face is not as snazzy as...
Okay, you just lost it.
All right, guys. That's it for episode 15. Thank you all so much for watching or listening, and we will see you guys next week. Deuces. Peace. Bye-bye. And I gotta awkwardly I'm gonna put the belt down so that way I can transition scenes. All right. Later, guys.
Bye.
Shut up and sit down.